Hi everyone, this will be a quick review of how to divide and multiply integers. You'll remember these rules for when you were simplifying double signs as you were adding and subtracting integers. If you have two items that are being multiplied and divided and they are the same, then you are going to wind up with a positive. So if you multiply a negative by a negative or divide a negative by a negative, you're going to get a positive as your answer. If you multiply or divide a positive and a positive with each other, you will also get a positive answer. So if the signs are the same, you're going to wind up with a positive. On the other hand, if the signs are different, if you're multiplying a negative by a positive or dividing a negative by a positive, your answer will be negative. And vice versa, if you are multiplying a positive by a negative or dividing a positive by a negative, you will get a negative answer. So if your signs are the same, you're going to have a positive answer. If your signs are different, you'll have a negative answer. So if you have a positive 4 being multiplied by a negative 6, you are going to have an answer that will be negative. The two signs are different, so you're going to get a negative answer. And then you'll multiply the numbers as you normally would. So 4 times 6 will give you 24. So your answer in this case would be negative 24. Let's look at the second example. In this case, you have a negative times a negative. That's going to result in you having a positive answer. So you will divide 20 by 5 and you will get 4. So negative 20 divided by negative 5 will give you positive 4. You might come across some questions when you're going to need to apply BEDMAS. In this example, you have a negative 3 being multiplied by a positive 4. We know that BEDMAS tells us that we will do multiplication and division in order that they appear from left to right. So we'll handle the negative 3 times the positive 4 first. A negative times a positive will give you a negative, and we know that 3 times 4 will give us 12. We'll have to copy down the rest of the question before we can do the next line. So now we are dealing with a negative being divided by a negative. Well, we know that when we divide a negative by a negative, we'll get a positive. So we'll just need to divide the 12 by the 2. And 12 divided by 2 will give us 6. So negative 12 divided by negative 2 will give us a positive 6. Here's another example where BEDMAS will need to be applied. In this case, however, we won't be able to do the negative 4 to begin with because it's being added, and we know that we can't do addition until we've already handled the division. So we'll copy down the negative 4, and then we'll look to do positive 8 divided by negative 2. Well, we know that a positive divided by a negative is going to give us a negative. We know that 8 divided by 2 is going to give us 4. Now here's where you want to make sure that you don't get confused. When you're doing adding and subtracting, you need to go back to thinking about who won and by how much. So in this case, the positive team has no points, the negative team has 4 points, and an additional 4 points. So we'll say who wins and by how much. So the negative team wins, and they get all of the points. So remember to keep your thinking straight. When you're doing multiplication and division, you'll look to see if the signs are the same or if they're different to help you find out whether your answer will be positive or will be negative. When you're adding and subtracting, you'll think who won and by how much. Good luck with your practice questions. Take care.